Well, welcome to my channel. I'm very excited. We are in October. I'm also very excited because I have some new subscribers here. Several of you came on board after I introduced you to my mess when I'm talking, of course, about when I attempted to go on a date a few weeks ago and it was a not so good situation for me. So welcome. Thank you for deciding to come and visit my little corner of the internet. If you saw the title, which of course you did, I don't know why I always say if you saw the title, people see the title. But based on the title, I am going to be talking about how my October has gone so far. And I'm also going to be talking about doing kind of a mini story time here. Of a situation where I got scammed. Now, I'm not talking about like a scam where, you know, it wasn't a dating scam, it wasn't anything like that, but it was one of those scams that people warn you about on the news. And normally they tell you, hey, make sure you tell your grandparents, your older parents about this. You know, older people are really vulnerable to this type of thing. It's the kind of scam where you would expect somebody who's still mostly in her right mind, slightly intelligent, slightly capable. I'm talking about me. You would expect me to have been able to see through this and to not have fallen for it. But I did fall for it, and I'm gonna blame Mercury Retrograde. So if you're new to my channel, you didn't look at any of my other videos, I'll just go ahead and say it now. I am one of those astrology girls. Okay, I am, you know, there was horse girls when we were growing up. I am an astrology girl. And the more I learn about it and the more I get into it, the more interesting I think it is. And so I'm going to be starting another channel soon where I just allow myself to really indulge in this new hobby of mine. Well, it's not really new, but I'm learning more things that are more interesting to me, and I'd like to talk about them in another space. But for now, in this space, in this channel, I'm just going to explain what Mercury retrograde is and why it matters to me as a certified astrology girl. Mercury is the planet of communication. So, you know, like if you're looking at the planets that matter when you're studying astrology, so like Venus, the sun, the moon, Mars, all of those little planets that make us who we are supposedly in the way that they interact with the constellations, so on and so forth. Mercury is one of those planets that you look at when you are trying to decide things about a person. You look at their Mercury because you want to know how do they like to communicate. For example, my Mercury is in Pisces, and that's actually the worst position, the worst placement of Mercury, because Mercury is supposed to be like a very focused sign. Like when we think about communication, we want it to be focused, we want it to be concise and clear, detailed. So Virgo is where Mercury performs the best, and Pisces is where it performs the worst. And I think that I can really tell that I have a Mercury in Pisces because I like to ramble. A lot of the times in my comments, I will see things like, get to the point. What is she talking about? Oh my God, she finally got there. And people will do themselves a favor and they will put the timestamp of where I finally got to what I was talking about. Let me get there now. So Mercury is the planet of communication. It's how we like to communicate. It controls all things communication. So internet, postal service, how our conversations work. It also controls how we communicate with each other, as far as like, say that something happened and there was like a fight or something and you stop talking to someone. Well, when Mercury goes retrograde, when it appears to be moving backwards, people from your past might come back to try and resolve issues, things that you signed. And so like maybe you signed a contract and you didn't really get to look at it. Mercury forces us to go back and take a look at things. Things might fall apart. It might be harder to understand people. It might be harder to get your point across. All those good things are things that we can count on during Mercury retrograde. And I will link a very helpful article about it in the description box below. For this particular scam, I'm blaming Mercury retrograde because I do not know how otherwise my brain could have been so confused and so scrambled that I fell for this. Here's what happened. So I was in Target, which is a place that I need to stay out of because I'm there too much. But I was in Target and I was trying to just get a few knickknacks here and there. I was trying to like get stuff to set up like a real home office space. I was trying to just, you know, I was trying. And I'm in Target and I get a call on my phone and I don't see it at first. And so then I look and I see that they left a voicemail. And recently I've been getting voicemails. We all know the voicemails, you know, it'll say things like, please call, you know, about your extended warranty, right? I've been getting these weird calls and normally iPhone does a great job at, you know, coding them as scam likely. So I don't even pick up the phone, and if they leave a voicemail, I don't even look at it. I'm just like, whatever, I'll go in and I'll just delete it. iPhone did not code this as scam likely, and I looked at the voicemail and it was like, hey, there's been some fraud reported on your social security number. You need to call this number back so that we can investigate this case with you. I believe that I was aware of like IRS scams. Like I know people were calling people saying, hey, you need to pay your taxes, And the thing is that the government will never actually call you. They will send any correspondence they can through the mail. But I'm going to blame Mercury Retrograde for me forgetting that fact, and I definitely called the number back. Okay, so I call the number back, and this lady picks up, and behind her, it sounds like she's in the middle of a bullpen. Like she's in the middle of, a busy stock market office in the 1980s or something. There's people screaming all around her. Like it sounds really, really loud. It sounds like she's in the middle of a cafeteria or like a really, really busy call center. Like it doesn't give government office vibes. But again, I'm stupid. So I continue to let her talk to me. She's like, hey, she goes through my name and she says, listen up, somebody's got your social security card. They've got your social security card and there is fraud reported on your card. And once you confirm some details for me, I will tell you about this fraud. So I'm feeling particularly ridiculous this day, and I start confirming details, which you don't do. But I did it. And so she's like, okay, now I can tell you about this fraud. And she tells me that my social security number is related to somebody who's been doing money laundering. They have rented a car in my name. The reason why they knew that it was associated with me is because they found an abandoned car with blood residue inside of it, like 50 pounds of cocaine. And they went and they looked at the number that, they looked at the person's information that had rented the car. Supposedly it had been rented under me. And they said that they also found that several bank accounts had been opened with my with my social security number, and $500,000 had been laundered internationally. Okay, so I believed this because I watch way too much Dateline. So when they talked about an abandoned car with bloody residue, I was like, I saw that episode. This is happening. And then the lady says, so if we don't get this resolved, unfortunately, there's a warrant out for your arrest, and you could be arrested as soon as tomorrow. So I'm in the middle of a Target. I am like pacing back and forth like a wild woman. I keep accidentally hitting mute on the phone with my own face because I'm so excited, and the lady like can't hear me, and so I'm screaming at her in the Target, and people are like, why is she screaming? So I'm screaming at this lady on the phone. I finally walk outside, and something told me something wasn't right as I was walking outside and I was screaming, my bank accounts are in the following banks. But I told her where my bank accounts were. And she's like, okay, well, now I have all the information I need from you. I bet you do. I'm going to forward you to my higher ups. So she forwards me to her higher ups. And this is where it gets just a mess. She forwards me to her higher ups, and the guy's like, hey, what's up? My name is Jay Sheehan. And the reason why I'm saying the name is because if this happens to any of you, please know that first of all, the government will never call you with something like this. You will be approached by mail first, okay? They will never call you with something like this. Also, if you're like me and you actually monitor your credit, I have Credit Karma, I monitor my credit through my bank, something like this would have shown up. Something like this would have been reported. This type of thing would not have been allowed to happen undetected when I'm monitoring my credit on a seven-day basis. Every week I'm getting my credit report in and seeing what's going on. But I forgot all about this because I thought I was in a real live Dateline episode. So she transfers me to her higher ups, and it's a guy claiming to be Jay Sheehan from the U.S. Marshals. That's who he says he is. And, he's talking to me and he's like, okay, ma'am, this is what we're going to have to do. And if you want to fight this by yourself, you'll have to get a criminal lawyer and fight this in court. You can fight this on your own. Or I can do something called ADR, which is like automatic. I'll put up the name of it on screen here. It's like, or you can do something like this if you just agree to work with me today. So I'm literally shaking at this point because, again, I think I'm in my own episode of Dateline at this time. And I'm like, okay, well, I'll do that. I'll work with you today. So he says, hey, this is what we're going to have to do. And this is where I start to get like, this is not real. He tells me, okay, so I just want to clarify that this is the amount you have in your accounts. Now, I do want to say here that I was smart enough to give a reduced amount. Like I told him like half the amount, or, you know, in one account I was like, oh, I've got like $10 in there. That's not true. So I didn't tell the full amounts. I just said I have money located in these places. So he was like, okay, so you say you have this much money. Here's what I need you to do. I need you to go to your bank and I need you to take out all of the money except for maybe like $100. And I said, okay. And he goes, and this way, when you do this, you're going to take out the money and then you're going to go to a special government sanctioned ATM. The government doesn't use, when we're working on special cases like this, we won't use the regular banks that everybody knows about. We'll use special ATMs. And then once you get there, you're going to deposit the money there. Or I think it was something, I was barely listening to him at this time because my brain was just like, girl, you got to hang up. But he said something about either giving the money to the clerk at the gas station and receiving a receipt in hand that was going to open a crypto account for me, because cryptocurrency is the most trusted currency of the United States government. And here's where I was like, oh, this man playing on my phone. He playing on my phone. But, you know, when I was growing up, stickers on the wall, being a good citizen, being teacher's pet, I was a teacher. I don't want to be a bad citizen, you know? So what if he's not playing on my phone? Like that voice was in my head, like, what if this isn't a game? What if this is true? But I was super uncomfortable with this whole crypto thing because I knew that wasn't true, right? So I'm talking to this guy and I'm like, you know what? Actually, I don't believe you. And he says, what do you mean you don't believe me? I've just told you all these things we're going to do for you. We're going to give you a crypto account, then we're going to issue a new number. I said, just issue the new number now then, if you can do that. Just freeze my accounts now. I don't have that much money. I'll tell my family and stuff what's going on. I was like, you know, I'm blessed enough to not have to worry about depending just on myself for a little bit. And by the way, if something's going on with my bank account, my bank can freeze my cards and my accounts that day and resolve it that day. Give me a new account and things that day and then get me back. So you as the US government can't do that. And then the guy starts getting flustered. He's like, oh, ma'am, you know what? You know, you don't want to work with me and you want to do this yourself. I said, no, I didn't say that. I said, but I am having trouble believing you. So he says, well, let me verify myself for you. Go to the US Marshal website. So he takes me to the website. You know, I have like my phone on speaker at this time. I've given up on Target at this point, right? I'm out of the door. I'm like, whatever. I'm not gonna buy nothing. So I go out to my car. I've got the phone on speaker and he's like, go to the US Marshal's website. So I go to the website and he says, okay, now scroll. He you know, coordinates me around or whatever. And he's like, okay, now you see my name down there? And I do. I do see the name Jay Sheehan. And he says, and you see that number? That's the number that I called you from, isn't it? He says, okay, now I'm going to put you on hold and I'm going to call you from a different number that looks just like that number because that's my private line. So if you didn't know out there, you listener, if you didn't know, there's something called phishing, where people can use a number. They can call you from whatever number, and they can use that number in order to scam you. This actually happened to me a couple years ago. People were using my phone number. I found out about it in the fall of 2017, I think, or the fall of 2016. People were using my phone number to call and scam other people. I don't know how they got it. I don't know how it started. And the way I found that out was I was like, occasionally I'll do weird searches on myself for fun. And I put my phone number in to see like what it would get back on me. And it was all of these like, do not answer, do not call. This is a scam number. I was like, me? I ain't called none of y'all. It's called phishing and it is something that people do. So when the guy called me from these numbers, I was like, yeah, that's great. I feel like you're phishing though. I feel like you can use whatever number you want and be scamming people. What? We're the US government. I would have to hack into the US. I said, people hack into the US government. Who does that? I said, you're the US government. You should know. And he's like, ma'am, you know what? What do I need to do to help you believe me today? I said, sir, I don't think there's much you can do. In fact, I'm going to get off the phone. He says, no. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to send all your information. Oh, by the way, he told me that if I didn't do all of this within 1 hour, the police were definitely going to come to my house and arrest me for, if you remember, money laundering, drug dealing, and apparently murder as well. So I say to him, you know what, guy? I don't know if I believe you. He's like, you know, I want to help you. So I'm going to send all of your information to, and he like did a little pause, which I think he was like checking his like sheets maybe he had in front of him or doing like a Google search, something to figure out like what he could say. But I'm going to send your information to your local police station. And you know what I want you to do? I'm going to put you on hold for a second and I'm going to get in contact with them. And then I'm going to get back on the line and I'm going to have them talk to you. And you know what? But don't hang up with me when they call you back. So he gives me all these instructions and I don't want to sell myself. Like, I don't want to not sell myself short here. I was being an absolute nincompoop. I literally, while he was talking to me, like, yes, a big part of me was like, I think he's lying. On the other hand, I was driving in like a boomerang pathway from the Target, trying to make it to the Social Security office, just in case he wasn't lying. Like, why didn't you guys tell me I'm guilty of murder? To Social Security office, to the police station. Like, I was just trying to figure out what to do because there was a big part of me that was like, this is definitely true. A bigger part of me than I would like to admit to. I'm very ashamed of it. Again, I'm blaming it on Mercury Retrograde. So, and you can't stop me. So, the guy puts me on hold and he comes back to the phone. He's like, okay, ma'am, I did it. I sent them all your information. They know that we're dealing with you now. So I said, why didn't they know it before? They're the police. Weren't they supposed to be coming to arrest me? Whatever, ma'am. Yes, that's fine. And you should be getting a call anytime now from one of the police officers. But remember, don't hang up with me. But yeah, leave me on hold and talk to him. So within like 10 seconds, I get a call from the police. This guy gets on the phone. He's like, hey, what's up? I'm Officer Steven Sanchez of the Houston Police. Now, let me say something. Something else that kind of just stuck out to me was the accents of all the people that were talking. Now, I'm not saying that the U.S. government can't employ hundreds of thousands of people from all different nations and nationalities, but these accents, they sounded like someone from the guy that I was talking to, the one who was like, I'm a U.S. Marshal. No one hacks the government. Give us your money so we can give you a crypto account. That guy, he sounded like if somebody from New Zealand was doing a bad Southern accent. Like, it just sounded like he had all his dialects and stuff messed up. And then when Officer Steven Sanchez gets on the phone, he sounds exactly like this dude. And so I was like, okay, this ain't no Steven Sanchez. But then, finally, the thing that finally made me hang up, and at this point, this fool has had me insane for about an hour. The thing that finally made me hang up was the officer got on the phone. He goes, and how can I help you today? Miss Stephanie, what seems to be the problem today? And I'm thinking, if this is an international crime ring that I'm about to go down for like literally 100 years, why would the police officer get on the phone and be like, how can I help you today? I said, oop, I hung up on him. And when I hung up, I immediately Googled U.S. Marshal Social Security scam. And lo and behold, in March and April of this year, there were tons of briefings put out about this scam. People were going to call. They're going to say something's going on with your social security number. They're trying to get money out of you. You're not going to jail. Officers are not showing up. If something was going on with you, the government is never going to contact you by phone. You're going to be contacted by mail first, or the officers will just show up at your home, but they're never going to talk to you over the phone. That's not going to happen, okay? And so I hung up the phone on the officer, and I kept getting those calls from that Jay Sheehan. And when I was looking at the scam website, they were like, block the number that called you. Block it immediately. So I blocked him, and it was done. That happened to me on October the 1st. So I am going to go ahead and blame that on Mercury Retrograde. And also, I think right now in my life, not too much is going on. And there was part of me that was like, oh, I'm in a real life episode. I mean, I was very scared. I called my mother and I told her, oh my God, I've been on the phone with these people and I think I'm going to jail. I'm going to jail. And she was like, I don't know. But I think a part of me is like just vulnerable in a different way, like not how like a senior citizen would be vulnerable or something like that. But I definitely spend more time in imagination than in reality, typical Pisces. And I definitely watch way too many crime dramas. And so, yeah, I was in many ways a great mark because I was like, I know it. I know they've been laundering money on my social security. And if I had Googled it and it hadn't shown up, so if I had been like an early victim of this, they definitely would have gotten all my information, which is sad. So yes, keep these things in mind if this ever happens to you. The government will never call you. They won't just pop up on your phone. Hey, what's up? Your social security number looking kind of wild. No. You'll be contacted and by mail. Or if it's something as serious as what they were saying is going on with me, officers will just come directly to your house and say, hey, this is what's going on. Also, if this does happen to you, what you want to do is, and this is what I did, because I did give them information, like I don't know what they already had, but I did give them information about me, because again, I was a nincompoop. What you can do is you can freeze your credits. So that means that anybody who tried to do anything with your credit would not be able to do it. They'd have to be able to, they'd have to go through a long process. They just wouldn't be allowed access. So if somebody tried to open a credit card in your name or anything like that, they wouldn't be able to do it. So that's what I did. I froze my credit with all the credit bureaus. You file a complaint with the FTC. They also want you to file with your local FBI station. I haven't done that yet, just because I didn't give them that much information about me. I'm still deciding if that's something that I'm going to do, especially when it's a scam that's been around for a long time. And I've been monitoring like my credit cards, and I've been looking at my bank accounts. I told my bank that this happened, so we'll see. But most importantly, if a government entity calls your phone and says, "Hey, you are in some hot water here, but first, tell us how much money you have in your bank account." It's not real, man. It's not real. You're being scammed. You're being scammed. Yeah, I'm a little ashamed of that story, but it is something that happened, and I want to just get it out there, because what if one of you is in a silly, goofy mood and someone calls you and you end up running around like an idiot for an hour outside of a Target, scaring the other customers, and yeah, I don't want to see that happen to you. Beware of Mercury retrograde and scams. Yeah, thanks for watching.